What's up, guys? Sub-Zero here, back for another VOD review. Today, doing another game from the America's Tacticians Cup, and I gotta say, throughout the day, it feels like one player absolutely shined. This was Kiyoon, 1-1-1-1 were his first 4 scores, and then a 5 and a 6, which honestly kind of makes it look like he just stopped trying after game 4, which wouldn't you? I mean, he was mathematically probably guaranteed through at that point, so I mean, shout out to Kiyoon, 77 points across the first 2 days, highest. I mean, way higher than everybody else. So we're going to see him in the final day tomorrow, which should be very exciting. And he also just played some good TFT. I mean, he had some high roll spots for sure. I had somebody suggest to me that I should VOD review his game 4, and then I looked at his game 4, and it looked like the most insane spot of all time. But I think this is game 2 from Kiyoon, showed how to play into a line that is more niche in the kind of, these reroll lines, all of these reroll lines that exist out there. It's a little bit more niche, and he made some really interesting choices as far as itemization goes that I think a lot of people would not have made, and I mean, it just shows how good of a player he is. So we start off here, I don't know, we have a Juggernaut opener. I mean, nothing to write home about. If this was last patch, you'd be like, oh my god, like, look, I have an Ashe setup, but sadly, Ashe is not looking as good on this patch, so probably not an Ashe setup, though we will hold on to the Gnar plus the Mundo here, and we do have a Guinsoo's. Yeah, I mean, this is the Ashe setup if Ashe was good. Timescape investment strategy, Sunfire board. Timescape's actually a funny augment. I thought I would hate this augment a lot more than I do. You read it and you say 28 XP, you compare this to something like AFK, gold to silver, and 20 to 28, whereas gold is better than XP because you can econ with gold, you can't econ with XP. You would think this augment kind of sucks, but the times I've played it, it's felt quite solid. Investment strategy, I'm almost never open to taking this unless I have a gold opener or I'm in like a Scuttle Puddle or something like. And Sunfire board, I think, is just kind of mediocre early. Yeah, so roll both of these. Don't see, I mean, we see some interesting stuff. Unceasing, once again, this vertical Juggernauts line, I don't know about all that. I mean, Thorn-plated armor seems like the shining, pickup here because it is, I mean, decently AD heavy meta, and we have an Udyr that we can throw it onto. So that's what I would be looking at here. Kiyoon really in the tank here, but rolls time skip and then sees Trade Sector as last augment here and grabs this. I do think in a very heavy reroll meta, Trade Sector is pretty reasonable. And here's the next thing that's quite interesting. We power up, we see over 9k on Kayle, which I think last patch I wouldn't really think about this very much, but this patch, over 9,000 actually received a pretty big buff to almost every single stat that it generates. So you are a lot happier now to take over 9,000. I just played a game of it earlier. So yeah, the AP, AD, and AS went from 4 to 5%. The HP went from 4 to 50, and the resist went from 4 to 8. So you're getting a lot more stats from over 9k. Now, the downside is, it's not as good as its heyday where you could farm this on minion rounds and get a bunch of, extra stats there. Oh, wow, he actually used his free rolls here to dig for more Kales and things like that. I mean, it makes sense. But yeah, we it is a lot better now that you are getting all of these extra stats. But there is also something very interesting going on here that, if you are an observant viewer, you might be noticing here, is that we're playing Kayle, and we haven't slammed a Guinsoo's Rageblade yet. We started the game with Guinsoo's Rageblade components. I think a lot of people are probably thinking, oh, we started the game with Guinsoo's, that's why we're playing Kayle. But no, not really. We are actually not going to make this Guinsoo's Rageblade. We are not interested in slamming Guinsoo's Rageblade here. Now, why is that? Why not? Guinsoo's on Kayle. She's an auto attack based unit. Why would you not slam the auto attack based item? Well, twofold. One, last patch, Guinsoo's Rageblade got nerfed, so it is just a weaker item in general. It's not one that you are as excited for. This patch, Giant Slayer got buffed, which makes it just the premier slam out of a bow on almost every single comp if you can get there. And then third thing is that we have over 9,000, which is actually going to provide us a lot of extra attack speed throughout the course of the game. Over 9,000, it's not very clear from the tooltip, but it's clear if you've ever played against somebody who has an over 9,000 on something like a Kayle. It is tailored on Kayle to give AP and attack speed. This doesn't mean you get it every single time, But in general, you are very often getting AP and attack speed here. You can see already some AP and attack speed onto the Kayle. In general, those are what you are going to be getting from the over 9K. So by the end of the game, you're going to have, 40%, 50% attack speed from this. You really don't need the attack speed from the Guinsoo's Rage Blade when you have over 9,000. The other piece of this is that there is actually a better attack speed item now. Once again, Guinsoo's has been nerfed. This Kayle comp coming back into the meta a little bit just because stuff like Wraith got buffed. You can also go red buff on this Kayle if you get Bobo, which is another really, really nice item. Gives you the attack speed that you want, but it also gives you heal cut, which is nice. So that is another idea. But the main idea here is, anything but Guinsoo. And the other nice thing about not building Guinsoo is it allows you to kind of build whatever you want out of Rod. Allows you to build stuff like JG, allows you to build stuff like Death Cap, both really, really solid items onto Kayle from just a getting AP standpoint. Because once again, in general, TFT, we don't have a ton of AP on this Kayle unit from traits. You're going to get a decent bit from over 9,000, so probably JG ideal. Though I think the stats, Death Cap, I think is just a little bit of an overtuned item. I feel like every single unit, it says Death Cap is BIS on them, so yeah. But yeah, continuing to chill here, scale up our over 9K. He powered up Zachary here. I'm interested. If he was offered Socialite, I wonder if he would have taken it. But Standalone seems very, very good as well here, just from the perspective of, you're going to have a big Zach, ideally, a Zach 3-star with Standalone, hopefully. So pick up a Malzahar here, decent enough. Pick up a Sword here, which can be our GS here. Pick up an Udyr too, which is kind of hilarious here. So we're going to roll down a bit here. We don't have to roll too deep. Wow, we pick up Violet too as well. Very nice. That's going to be 6 Kayles already and 3 Zachs here. Going to roll it down to really okay, he rolled it down below 30 and then rolled it back up above 30. So we make Juggernaut Spat. That was the idea all along, is that we were going to play for that. Hovering the rod over Kayle, honestly, maybe just for fun, because he is going to slam that Giant Slayer onto Kayle. I wonder if that's just to bait chat or something, because it almost looked like he was thinking about slamming the Guinsoo, but then he makes the GS. Not to say that you will never build Guinsoos on Kayle, right? I don't want your takeaway from this video to be, I must never build this item. It's just not actually optimal, and if you had Pandoras, you would never build Guinsoo's, is the way that it works. Tesla Coil, Explosive Growth, Care Package. Care Package, so says Wei Iverson and many others, is just a broken augment. So I expect that to be the take here, and looks like it will be the take here. Deepening Shadows, I just don't like this augment very much. We do get a dupe out of it, which is honestly not bad. And so yeah, I think we can be pretty chill with it. But yeah, we are here with just our GS on the Kayle, which is, it's so funny after playing Guinsoo Kayle so much for the new age Kayle build to not actually be Guinsoo's. But you can actually see we checked over 9K there. So let's go back and look actually what our over 9K stats are. You can see, like, this is definitely tailored. You notice how we've gotten only AP, AS, and AD, and much more AP and AS. We have gotten none of these other stats, and you will roll them every once in a while, but it is like it's a weighted dice roll, essentially. You are way more frequently getting the AP and AS. I saw somebody, once again, who had it the other day, and they had like 40 AP, 40 AS, and then like 1 proc of HP or something like that. Opted to reforge the Cloak here. Ended up actually getting Glove here, so we just slam out the JG. Like I said, I think JG makes a lot of sense on a unit like Kayle, where we do already have that free extra attack speed and AP. So, something like a JG should make a lot of sense here. 2 off of Kayle with dupe here. We're close enough to Zach. I do think that we are going to look for Zach 3 and Kayle 3. Sometimes if you're in a spot where you just kind of like naturally Kayle 3, you hit 9 Kayles and you only got 4 or 5 Zachs, you just say, I'll skip Zach. But at this point, 5 Zachs, 7 Kayles, I expect us to end up using this duplicator on Zach 3. The only situation in which we wouldn't is if our next shop is like just Kayle with no Zachs in it, and then you could maybe make the call to just dupe Kayle, because the highest priority in this comp, of course, is still pushing level 9, getting into that, fully ascended Kayle. So that is the dream. All right, items on Carousel here. I'm gonna opt to take, it's looking like Cloak. Yeah, Cloak onto the on the Kaysante here. I think this makes sense. It's a tank item for to finish up our items onto our Zach here, and it is a Kaysante who is a pretty solid unit, though. I don't know when we're actually going to fit him in on the board. It's gonna be a while, right? Because we have to play this board for now. 1 off Kayle. He is gonna dupe, yeah, okay, and then level for Kaysante. So yeah, that's kind of the idea that I was talking about, where like if you hit your Kayle before you find your 6th Zach, you might actually just skip going for Zach 3, and it looks like that's the idea from Kiyoon. I mean, the other thing is that pushing level 6 is such a big spike on this comp, because obviously you get that Kayle level up here, so he really just wants to be strong here, and also just to start pushing levels to get to that level 9. So we're actually going to take a loss against a pretty strong, this Dr. Shmundo unit is just kind of a monster. And yeah, going to move power up here. Powers up the Atrox, digging for that Socialite, misses it, but does find Inner Fire, which is really not that bad. It's heal cut on a board that's lacking it, so he does end up picking that up here. But it certainly looks like he's digging for Socialite. The Socialite power up, by the way, nerfed, but certainly not forgotten. I think every single person is still... Any comp where you are playing an Aatrox or any kind of unit that gets Socialite. I saw a Socialite like Dr. Mundo the other day. Any unit that can get Socialite, you are digging for Socialite on these units, because it's just kind of still, even after the nerfs, overtuned. So yeah, that is what we are looking at here, but we don't pick it up just yet. Another Aatrox would be fun, I guess. We do have the extra Aatrox if we want to. You can like power up the one on the bench and then sell it if, or you can power up the one on the board and then... I think, like, which one do you power up? I guess you power up the one on the board, because if you power up the one on the bench and it hits it, then you have to sell the one on the board. I think that makes sense. Spirit Visage Guardbreaker here. We do get a sword here as well. The rest of the items actually end up looking kind of awkward here. And we do pick up the Socialite finally onto the Atrox here. So very nice. Gonna remove our items and then move them over to the Cassante here, just because Cassante 1 is one of the best tanks that you can have in the game. Pick up another Rod here, which is interesting. And so it's gonna be, ooh, look at this, Morello. Wow. Okay, so he ends up, yes, he does make the Spirit Visage here, but he opts to make Morello onto the Kayle, and then TG is his other item. Not that concerned with getting a last damage item on Kayle, is just happy with the heal cut. I mean, it must be Keepers, right? Keepers with Socialite is very, very good. You can reroll the others, but I mean, Socialite Keepers, it's a little awkward because, you know, like we'll move Aatrox up here, but you, like, yeah, you want to get Keepers value, but you also want to get, you know, like Socialite value. So it's kind of funny, but like it's still totally fine to go for. Also, Kiyoon ratting it up here, holding double Xayah plus a Rakan on his bench here, just to try to deny Xayah Rakan player is kind of hilarious. But yeah, yeah, it's interesting, the itemization. I would have thought for sure he'd go for the Striker's Flail, but I mean, he really wants to guarantee heal cut. I do think this is a patch where heal cut is very, very prevalent as far as something that you need, just because there's so many like reroll, you know, rotate into a Rakan board. If you don't have heal cut, your game is not going to be very fun. So I think that's the thinking from Kiyoon, which kind of makes a lot of sense here. It's kind of funny, yeah. This is the slight awkwardness of Keepers, is that normally you would be really interested in kind of like giving the entire board Socialite, but instead we're actually just going to kind of keep our units over here kind of clumped in this very small bit, because I mean we have to clump for Keepers anyway. You could move everything to the right side and try to APM check people, but it really depends on if you're confident in your APM and you are also going to leave one of the units unsocialited or unkeepers, but probably unsocialited. So Cloak open, still here. Still don't have a last Kayle item here. So I mean, we're gonna take Glove here. Like, Morello's is our item, but I have to imagine that this Morello is going to move later, you know, and we're gonna find a last real damage item for Kayle, but we'll see here. And yeah, it is actually right now. It's gonna be the Quicksilver onto Kayle. Wow. I do know that a lot of people do not like this item after the changes to it, just in general. They say it's kind of understated. It is just a worse Guinsoo's Rage Blade, which is kind of funny. You know, all the talk of skipping Guinsoo's and we go for this. I will say, though, versus this board, it did do a lot of work, completely dodged that Jarvan ult. It is still 7 mech, so we are going to lose because 7 mech is very strong on this patch after the buffs. But, I mean, it is a good... it makes a lot of sense when you are keepers in exactly spots like this where you fight somebody and you are going to get Jarvaned if you don't you know, play for this. Using all of our free refreshes here on level 8 to try to finish off our board and get to 6 Jug here. We do pick up the set, so we have 6 Jug here, and then going to put tank items back onto Zach, hilariously enough here. Yeah, it's kind of hard because, you know, you'd love to play Cassante, but like Zach is one of the few. I mean, he is heavyweight on this board, and obviously he is Wraith on this board as well. And so we're now actually just playing the random Malzahar on the board. I mean, who we kind of must play because we need a Morello holder, and Malz is a very, very nice Morello holder. So yeah, I mean, down the line, obviously next level can be for Wraith, but it's a little tragic here. All right, he's going to take, this is really smart, take the minion round to swap over to the right side here to give yourself the optionality, because now you can swap left to right. The problem is you can't swap everybody to the right side in one round because, you know, your socialite is not going to hit everybody. We get another dupe here, which is kind of funny, pretty useless for us, honestly, a little tragic here. But look, like we could be right side here or we could full swap to left side. You kind of want to be right side here so you hit the socialite hexes, but we will see here. Is it weird that I want to make damage items here? We are going to make Edge of Night as a damage item, and then Crown Guard has to be our other item. Yeah, okay. A little bit weird and kind of awkward that we have these items so spread out, but we can live with it as long as we can win the next couple of fights, or at least not take bad losses. Oh, that is actually so tragic to lose that fight, just barely, because we must make it to level 9 here, of course. And he is actually, wow, going to go, yeah, he sold to, he downgraded a Fury there, right? To go level 9 here. And we dupe the Mals level 9 to play 8 out of 9, but it's worth it. It's certainly worth it because we get the Kayle Ascension here. That is kind of a crazy round, but it makes so much sense. I mean, your board gets so much stronger here that you absolutely would do this. And yeah, I mean, you can see the value of, I think that Morello Slam, man, I really just think all of the slams from Kiyoon have been so on point, so interesting, and so smart this game. Because like I said, I don't know. I think a lot of people would get tempted to just make the item, you know, make the guard breaker, make the third Kayle item there. But I mean, heal cut is so impactful this patch. There's so many boards where you just need heal cut. And once again, like the Quicksilver in, you know, a traditional lobby, you know, like a lot of people are pretty low on this Quicksilver item. But, you know, in this lobby, especially because we're clumping with keepers, I think Quicksilver makes a lot of sense as a slam, you know, being able to dodge things like Jarvan ults, you know, any single time you're going to clump up. Having stuff like that hit you, you know, Kiyoon and all this kind of stuff. Like the CC immunity is also really, really nice. So I don't know. I think these slams from Kiyoon have been just genius. Looking at Bramble as the take here, just to get a tank item. I mean, you know what we'd really love at this point, by the way? We made it to 9. We'd really love a real tank. And we do pick up K'Sante here, so that is maybe our prayers are slightly answered, though it's a no protector K'Sante, which is a little bit sad, though. I guess who needs protector when you have Juggernaut? So we're gonna move some items onto set. Speaking of Juggernauts, this is actually gonna be our setup here. So gonna one item, you know, 1.5 item the Juggernaut spat onto K'Sante, and then put the 3 items onto the real Juggernaut here, just because you know, we want to itemize the real Juggernaut here. It's kind of interesting. I kind of would have thought we would have itemized K'Sante fully, actually, but I mean, I guess he wants to put 3 real items together. I mean, in any case, the board looks pretty strong. And yeah, we can really like kind of move around. It is actually such an interesting balance, making sure that you get keeper's value versus also, you know, spreading socialite around. But I mean, I really do love that QSS slam, like I said, to dodge a lot of CC. All right, Jin Mundo board here from Halloween's. This is cool. This is a comp that I heard some people talking up. I think it was Brosif who was kind of talking up this as like a pretty solid reroll line. And it looks like it will top 4, yeah, easily. So you know, shout out to Brosif on the call there on that line being solid, because I think that's a line where, you know, everyone kind of said, okay, well, the way you play Jin is you play around crew, but you don't have to. You can also, you know, still play the old school Mundo Jin version, and it's totally acceptable. So chilling here, get another, ooh, we get the lucky item chest. That's nice. I imagine that's going to look for Lee Sin item, and we are rolling down here, trying to pick up like, oh my god, we're actually getting kind of close to Zach 3, which is hilarious enough. All right, I sneezed in the middle of roll down there, but we are going to take, yep, that's GS, it looked like, for Lee Sin. And we are going to finish off Bramble Vest onto the K'Sante here. So looking pretty solid. Rotate into a Zyra Khan board. The Kayle is doing monstrous work. Remember, we are over 9,000 this whole game. It is 6-1. We've got insane over 9,000 value, and that is Lee Sin too. This is huge. I mean, this comp, over 9,000 in general, by the way, is, you know, if you can get to late game, if you can get this scaling up, I mean, it's the exact same as old, you know, over 9,000 pre-nerf, pre-buff, where, you know, if you make it to late game, you are so likely to win the lobby just because of the amount of stats that you are compounding across the course of the game. I think it's such a cool power up. I don't know, it's so satisfying to play once you get to late game. We kill Ripple Overdrive there completely. Oh, and I was about to say, what's this over 9,000 at? We can do an over 9K check here. So let's see, 40 HP or 40 AP, 40 AS, and then a little smattering, little AD, little MR, and little HP. So really nice there for Kiyoon. And yeah, you can tell why this is so good, because 40 AP and 40 AS, I mean, that is insanity. And obviously it's still stacking. It is still stacking. So rotating into Rabovan here, the last person. Ooh, Kiyoon trying to go for a little bit of a fancy swap, but I imagine he's just going to swap back to the right side here. Yeah. And Rabovan, if I'm Rabovan, I am like not even paying attention to this. Oh, and he's at 45 AS now here, actually. My God. I mean, this is a fully capped Zyra Khan board, tiny team, everything you could ever ask for, but he can't beat it. He can't beat Mr. Kiyoon here. I mean, Kiyoon is just so strong. Wow. Wraith Spat and Protector Spat. I mean, and he's actually going to go for neither, hilariously enough, because like how we have one fight left, right? If we take Wraith Spat, we have to cut something. Like it doesn't actually make sense. It's kind of hilarious. And so you just take LW here for the third item onto Lee Sin. I think it makes perfect sense here. So yeah, we are going to chill for one more fight. I mean, this will likely be it. The Jarvan here looking to CCS, but once again, we got that QSS, so that's never going to happen. It didn't end up actually hitting Kayle here, by the way. And yeah, I mean, the Cassante, insanely tanky, the set insanely tanky as well, and it's just an easy dub for Kiyoon. I don't know, I just thought this was a beautifully played game. I mean, from items specifically, I think really shows how to itemize kill correctly, but also just in all the other ways. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. Check my Twitch and Metafy on the links down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching, as always.